Hey guys, thanks for tuning in to Wingate Solutions. I hope you're doing well. Today's video is going to be about the Primary Arms 1X MicroPrism. All right, let's get into it. All right, guys, I'm going to keep this as kind of a quick review video. I'm not going to get lost in the weeds on the specs. You can look those up on the website. You can look at some more in-depth reviewers as far as really getting into the meat and potatoes and the specifications on everything as far as exit pupil, eye box, all that good stuff. I'm just going to talk more from a user perspective on what I like about this optic and what I feel is good to go when it comes to running this guy. So, disclaimer, Primary Arms. I have no affiliation with them as of the filming of this video. Never gotten anything for free from them. I don't know the guys. I've never met them. I just really like their stuff, so I've spent a boatload of money over the years running Primary Arms optics. So most of my guns have Primary Arms setups on them, and not to be like a shill for that company, they just have feature sets that I enjoy, and I've come to really like their ACSS reticles, and I like a lot of the modern things that they're bringing to the table that some other more well-known optic manufacturers just haven't been doing lately. They're just not innovating like they should, and Primary Arms has definitely been stepping up to the table and coming out with some pretty awesome products. So the 1X MicroPrism, this is technically the Gen 2. The original one was a couple years ago they came out with, and it was really cool. Had decent features. One of the downfalls to that one was the reticle itself, in my opinion, was it was really small. So if you're running it just without illumination, it could be hard to pick up in certain conditions, and the illumination also wasn't quite where it needed to be. They added a lot of new features to this Gen 2 MicroPrism that I think knocks it out of the park. Now, they've been known for their prisms for quite a while. They're 2.5X. It's been around for a long time. I still have one of those, and I ran a handful of those. Really cool little optic for what it is. If you need just a little bit of magnification and you want that prism optic for more durability and for other reasons. They also have their 3X, their 5X, and some other ones that were before the MicroPrism line. They're just pretty awesome optics for the price, that you're not in Trigicon ACOG price point territory. You're way below that, and allows guys to get something that's pretty rugged and durable at a solid price point, right? But their MicroPrisms are really where it's at. It really pushes the boundary on size to ruggedness ratio, etched glass. Really good illumination on this guy. I'm really liking the brightness levels. And the coolest part about it is it's not dependent on that. So as a red dot alternative, I recommend this to a lot of guys that want to have an etched reticle and don't want to fully trust just an electronic optic, right? And I'm one of those guys. I like something that I know the battery fails, or if I forget to turn it on, that I still have an etched reticle in this guy, and it's great. Cool thing as well is they added that auto live technology, shake awake, so this thing can turn off and not be draining battery constantly when you do have it at a decent illumination setting. And it's going to turn off when you put this rifle down for a bit, but then it'll come right back on as soon as you pick it up. I really like that. As far as battery life, they claim a pretty significant battery life on these. I can't really speak to it because I haven't had any issues with battery life. As of now, I'm pleasantly surprised with how long this guy's been on. Again, using that shake awake, and I have had no issues with it. I put it at a decently high brightness that I can be using it in general conditions. and it gets bright. I would say it's deceivingly bright compared to a red dot, where if you're going to crank that up in like bright sun, you're going to have probably some blooming and starburst. You won't get that with this optic during the day because of that etched reticle. It really is a pretty cool design. But again, you don't need the illumination, and that's really the big selling point for this guy. Now, updating the reticle design to this Gen 2, they added a bigger horseshoe, which I really like. It draws you to the center of the optic, kind of like an EOTech reticle does, but it's not so huge that it gets in the way. And I like the chevron in the middle as well, because it allows you to have that infinite aiming point. Now, that's going to be very personal preference based. Some guys like the chevron, other guys don't. I like it. I'm kind of impartial to it. I don't mind it at all, and it does work well for me. So I like that chevron center, and then the big horseshoe around it is really cool because, again, draws you to the center, especially if you don't have the illumination on. Comes in red and green, personal preference again. I like the red just because I've been running red dots a long time, so it's kind of similar to that. Other guys like green, like I know my brother has a green one, and that one is really cool too. I just like the consistency of running mine in red. That's me personal preference. Comes with a lot of different mounts. I prefer the straight riser on this guy. Now, you can get the 193 spacer that'll keep it straight, just like this one. I recommend that if you're going to be running it at a higher height for more heads-up shooting. I don't recommend the cantilever ones that'll come in the box with this, even though it's really cool that they give a lot of options of spacers to get different heights depending on your rifle setup. I don't fully trust the long cantilever spacer mount, just because that can be a failure point if this was dropped on the optic itself. This is going to be a little bit stronger of a design, just having those screws go straight up into the optic and not have that cantilever. And mini ACOG footprint on this guy as far as the mount. I really like that. It's pretty rugged, has stout screws. You're not using really tiny screws. Like, even though I haven't had it be an issue with T2 or T1 type mounts on red dots, there still is that part of me that doesn't like how tiny the screws are that mount that optic together to the mount. I like this style with the 3 bigger screws to mount it together. And that might just be me, thinking into it a little too much. But I like the mounting footprint. Now, the one thing I would love, and this, again, might come back to me just being weird with these guys, I would love to play with mounting one of these at the 12 o'clock on one of my 2.5 to 10s. I haven't found anybody out there that makes any kind of mount for the micro ACOG that would allow me to mount this on a scope on top. But I would like to try it, because this is a very lightweight, small footprint optic. It's barely bigger than a T2, if it even is. And it really doesn't add much weight. It's pretty dang light for what it is. So it'd be cool to try mounting one of these, because it has really good eye relief on a scope. But again, I might just be weird and want that. But if somebody wants to make one, let me know. I think it'd be cool. Just because of how much of like a red dot alternative this is for me. I really like that etched reticle. So I own 3 of these guys. And I think that kind of shows how much I like them. And if any of you have been watching my channel for a little bit now, I'm a big magnification guy. I like running LPVOs, magnified optics, like 2.5 to 10s, scopes like that are my main style of shooting. Those are the scopes that I like. So I don't run 1X only often. I did for a job for a long time. And for a very specific use case, I like having just a 1X. That's where this really comes into play for me as a truck gun. Again, depending on what state you live in, what your local state laws are, federal laws. I'm not an expert. I'm not an attorney, so understand that. So if you're going to use something like this as a truck gun, just be aware there's ridiculous laws out there that we need to fix. But for another video, I like this as a patrol rifle or truck gun concept, that this thing is very rugged. I don't have to worry about turned it on. I don't have to worry about battery life. I can still check the battery and put a new battery in every once in a while if I want to have that peace of mind. But at the end of the day, that extra reticle is still going to be on. And it's going to handle bumping around in a car. And it shouldn't affect the Zero as much as a more fragile Optic platform. So I really like that. And it's done really well for me. So this kind of fits that patrol rifle build for me. Just keep it simple. And without getting too much into this build, just a 14.5 simple Streamlight light, tail cap, switch, hand stop for indexing off the light. Big fan of that. And there's just nothing fancy about it. Just a real simple rifle. That BA Hansen 14.5 pin and welded with a dead air flash hider, so I can throw a can on it if I want. But this thing just works for the role of being a defensive-minded, prepared sheepdog civilian or for a patrol officer. I think this checks a lot of boxes. I recommend this for that way of thinking, where I wouldn't necessarily need magnification, right? So even though I'm a magnification kind of guy, if I'm going to run 1X, this is my preferred. I really like it because it's rugged, again, etched. It gets bright enough, and I trust it. All right. Quick side topic, since I kind of mentioned, truck gun patrol rifle mindset on this. Little tips and tricks. I'm a big fan of having a process of deploying a rifle, right? For years, I would have a process of how I would deploy my patrol rifle or my SWAT rifle, right? And I would do the same exact process every single time consciously so that there was no way of me messing that up, right? When the stakes are high, you don't want to skip a step, have a rifle, have too many steps that you need to use or do to deploy it to get it into action, and you mess up in the heat of the moment. So for me, I'd already have the stock in the condition I needed it in, and that's not as big of a deal, and it depends on your circumstance, how you have it stored in your vehicle, in a gun rack, a vault, or in a case. Again, personal preference and based on your situation. I would have it already extended. I'm not going to have any type of cap on the front of my light on a patrol rifle type build, because again, something I don't want to have interfering with me deploying this and needing to go to work with it right away. I'm going to have my sling stowed, shameless plug, my sling retention strap. I made this product solely based on my own use purposes of wanting to stow my sling so it wouldn't get hindered removing it from a vehicle, working around things in a vehicle. It can be stowed and out of the way, but it's also very important to have a sling. So when I want to deploy it, I want it to release smoothly, doing it left-handed, and be able to swim into it without much issue at all. So for me, I staged my rifles so that all I had to do was rack around and deploy the sling. That's it, right? So without getting too lost in the weeds, my mindset and why I'm bringing it up is I like this optic for that purpose. I don't have to worry about scope caps. I don't have to worry about turning it on like an EOTech or something with lower battery life, or an optic that turns off after a few hours and doesn't turn back on. I do not recommend those for any sort of job or civilian responsibility that you intend to use this to save lives. I like simple, right? That's why this rifle is the way it is. No extra bells and whistles. It's just a simple carbine. So get around the chamber, deploy the sling, go to work. That was always my philosophy on it, and that's the way I maintained it. Now, you do you. You might have to follow some different rules and procedures, and that's okay, depending where you live, depending on what role and purpose you have in society as far as getting paid to do this or not. You may have to follow some ridiculous rules, like having this separate from the gun and things like that, or running a pistol setup instead. Again, do your homework. Not advising you break any laws, even though they're stupid, right? Anyway, I wanted this to kind of be a quick video on the Cyclops. I got a little wordy. I know it wasn't too specific, but I just want to let you guys know, if you're looking for a red dot alternative, highly recommended, in my opinion, which trust it as far as you can throw it, do your research, vet the people you're getting your opinion from. I can say at this stage of the game, and if it changes tomorrow, this thing all of a sudden, craps out on me, I'm going to let you know and I'm going to tell you. But as of now, I have 3 of them, and I absolutely trust them, and I'm good to go with them. Now, the elephant in the room, and I'll wrap it up. I'm just remembering a few topics I'm saying off the cuff, because again, I don't really script these things. Probably should. Place of origin. As far as I know, it is made in China. I think most Americans are going to say that is not exactly a pro. Some people are going to outright not buy it because of that, and that's okay. I understand. If I could spend a little more money for this exact product made here, I absolutely would, even if it was double the cost, because I do like it, and I would pay to have it made here. But it's not. And the features you have with this, and the warranty I'm getting with this, and them willing to back up their product, it's made over in China. I'm okay with it. You know, take it for what it is. Is it preferred? Absolutely not. But there's a lot of compromises we make in life, and you may or may not be willing to make that compromise. So it is what it is. I don't fault you for not wanting it for being Chinese, but I just figured I'd bring that up real quick again, because it is a potential con for a lot of people, is place of origin. But yeah, anyway, really appreciate you guys watching this. And let me know if you have any feedback. Put comments down below of what you want to see me fix or do better, or what you like about the style of my videos. Kind of progressing, changing as I go, learning the editing, learning the video stuff. It is not exactly my forte, so you're kind of on the journey with me as we're learning. But anyway, just wanted to bring this guy up. A couple people made comments on this rifle, so figured I'd do a little quick video on it. I want to start doing some more optics reviews. Some of them will be a little more in-depth than others. Some of them will have more philosophy of use behind them. Kind of like this one for me, again, being that patrol rifle or truck gun or immediate home defense style build, depending on where you live, whether or not you need magnification, that sort of thing. But yeah, appreciate you guys. Let's get into that conclusion. All right, guys, that's going to conclude the video. I really appreciate you watching. If you enjoy this content, please consider subscribing and hit that thumbs up, that like button, and maybe give me a comment down below. Let me know what you thought of it. I really enjoy reading your comments. If you want to support us in any other way, go ahead and check out our website, wingatesolutionsllc.com. That's where you'll find our freedom slings and our sling retention straps and a few other things that I'm planning on getting up there soon. You can also check us out on Instagram at Wingate Solutions. That's where I'll usually drop some more up-to-date info as far as specific colorways or new products, things like that. So if you have an Instagram, you want to follow us over there, go ahead and do that. Anyway, till next time, guys, get out and train.